It's Tuesday and it's time for Falcon Focus. Welcome to Falcon Focus, episode number 15 here in season number 5. We're presented as always by Orthopedic Hospital of Wisconsin. My name is Matt Mental. It's an all lacrosse edition of Falcon Focus. Our second segment, we focus on men's lacrosse. We'll be joined by a couple of their members, that being junior midfielder Gio Nowatarski, along with junior defender Zach Wilder. But up first, we talk women's lacrosse and being joined by their junior midfielder slash attacker Ava Karloff. Ava, thanks a lot for your time. And let's start off by talking about your hometown. You're from Naperville, Illinois,
Yeah.
born and raised.
I was born in Chicago and then we moved to Naperville when I was 2, so pretty much raised in Naperville, but close enough. So I spent my entire life in Naperville. It's a pretty big city actually. I feel like a lot of people know where it is. But yeah, I've just stayed there in the Midwest my whole life, but it's been nice.
If there's one thing you could point at and say, this is why I like Naperville, what would that be?
Ooh, downtown Naperville. Super cute. We have the river walk and everything. There's lots of restaurants and cute little shops. I love it.
What kind of shops do you like to shop at? Antique type stores?
Uh,
Or are you talking all
no, they
kinds
have
of?
a really good candy store.
Okay.
They have cookie dough creations. I do love cookie dough, and they have really good Mexican restaurants. Yeah.
Favorite candy?
Oh gosh. I like sour candies, gummies, uh, airheads, anything. I'm a sweet I'm a fruity like
Okay.
candy type of gal.
We'll,
Yeah.
we'll talk more about your favorites as we go along, but
Perfect.
last season the Falcons got the opportunity to play in Naperville, taking
Mhm.
on North Central. Is that kind of special, all kind of
It was
essentially
really,
play a game in your
yeah.
backyard?
So pretty much all my family, they live in Naperville, like a mile or two away from me. So all of them got to go to the game, like my cousins, my grandparents, my aunts and uncles. So it was just like a whole, like it was really special, even though like we lost by 1 goal. But it was just really special having everyone come out. And my whole life, like Naperville Central or North Central is right by downtown Naperville. So I'm always like, when I was growing up there, I'd always hear like their football games and everything. So it's just really cool playing in that stadium.
And only fitting, your first ever collegiate lacrosse matchup came against North Central, but it was here
Hmm.
at Fitting Field, and you just happened to score a goal in your first
Yeah.
collegiate game. What do you remember about that goal?
Well, it was crazy for me because I was sweating. I was nervous for that first game, for my first game, like in college and everything. But it was just special. It felt surreal. I didn't really expect it to happen, but it did.
That was back on March the 5th of 2022, and you mentioned the nerves. How did you overcome just the butterflies? You still get butterflies before a collegiate
All
game.
every time, every time. Usually, I have like my little pregame ritual. We're standing during the national anthem. I always do like I focus on that flag. I'm like so grateful to be here. I'm like this is the best it's gonna get because after college, probably not gonna play lacrosse again. So and then after I just do my little sign of the cross. I'm like thank you God, and then nerves are gone. I'm good.
So when did you first start playing the sport of lacrosse? How did you get involved in the sport?
So I actually did soccer my entire life until 8th grade, and then I was like, I'm absolutely done. I wanted to do a sport in high school, but I was not going to do soccer. And one of my friends played lacrosse, and it was super small in Naperville, like when I first started. So going into freshman year, I did like a small summer camp for lacrosse, just testing it out, and I really liked it because I loved how aggressive you can be. And again, like it was something I never grew up playing. So it was just a totally new sport. And then once I started in high school, I just went on from there.
So what do you love about the sport? What frustrates you about the sport?
Sometimes the catching, like when you get really into it during a game and it's like super intense. I mean, obviously, if you drop it, it's like, oh God. But it is like really nice because, again, you can get a ground ball and it's
Hmm.
like, all right, pick it up, move on.
Have you gotten used to the new rules this season? Where I know from a physicality standpoint, they're trying to bring it in a little bit. So the green cards, yellow cards tend to fly a little bit more on a regular basis than maybe in years past. Have you gotten adjusted to that yet?
No, it is. Me and my team, we've been very, very frustrated with it. It's ridiculous. Like we were talking to our coaches the other day. There's a new rule where, like, if you're playing good defense and you push a girl out of bounds, that's a green card on you. So pretty much like it's just it stinks taking away like the physical aspect of the sport
Hmm.
because that's one thing. Like for girls lacrosse, we already are very limited like with checking and stuff, and we get called. And with all these new rules, now they're calling us on more things, and it's just it slows down the game. It's just like a whistle, and then like it disrupts the flow.
Have you gotten a lot of green cards, yellow cards yet this season?
I didn't get too many yellow cards. A couple games ago, I got some green cards, but then recently, I've been doing well with no
There you
cards.
go.
So I've been working on it.
In high school, I read that you also ran cross country and
Mhm.
track and field. So do you like
Yes.
running? Because obviously lacrosse, a lot of running.
Yeah. Well, my sister did cross country in high school, and my parents not didn't force me, but they encouraged it. I didn't like running at all. I had no endurance at all. I was a sprinter, but I figured it would be good for my endurance for
Hmm.
lacrosse. And I ended up doing it for 4 years, and it completely helped me. For me, it was like 90% like a mental sport because nobody wants to run a race 3 miles. At least not me. Like it was terrible, but like it really helped with like my mental strength and playing midfield because now it's just like I can run back and forth for 2 hours, and it's just like you just suck it up and deal with it.
So do you ever consider running cross country or participating in track and field at the collegiate level?
I don't think I'm fast enough for that.
No, not at all.
No, probably not.
So you always had your heart set on playing lacrosse at the next level. If
Yes.
okay,
Mhm.
so how did you end up here at Concordia?
For the very first time I visited, I have a specific memory of me recording like taking a video of the lake, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go here because of the lake." First of all, because I'm a huge nature person, so I saw that, and I originally came here for nursing,
Okay.
and I heard the program was really good here, so that's what got me pretty much here. And then Coach Emily, my coach, she came to one of my travel games, and then I met her through that. And then once she recruited me, I was like, "Oh, nursing, lacrosse, done deal." And then that's how I ended up
You
here.
talk about nature. I mean, you talk about not only this campus but even the surrounding areas.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of opportunities to
Lines
walk
done and
around.
everything.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness,
Oh,
this is a paradise. For you, from a lacrosse standpoint, what was the biggest adjustment? Okay, playing high school lacrosse to then playing here at Concordia.
probably probably the losses. Because when you go from high school to like high school, it's like okay, whatever you lose, like it's high school, it doesn't matter, obviously. But college, it's sort of a bigger deal because you're representing your entire school and you're playing crazy good teams.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like after each loss, I feel like we've been doing a good job. Like we learn, we take up like we all the girls on the other team that are crazy good. We're like, oh, we need to do this, like take this from them, and it's more of like a learning experience.
From a role standpoint, I mentioned you're listed on the roster as a midfielder slash attacker,
Mhm.
and if you watch a women's lacrosse matchup, they will see that you also play a big time factor on the defensive side, deflecting shots. What do
Mhm.
you see your role on this team being, and has it changed in your 3 seasons?
I feel like it's sort of been the same on the field and off the field. I feel like I bring that like fun, crazy energy. I'm very like bubbly, very energetic, a little bit like nuts sometimes, but I feel like it shows on the field sometimes because, again, like if we have a loss or whatever that's a goal, I'm like, okay, reset, like on to the next play, pretend that didn't count, let's just restart, new play.
Where does that come from? That bubbly, the energy for you?
I think my parents. My dad grew up as a coach, and I would always go with him to like he coached football and everything. I would always just like watch him coach. So I feel like I picked that off of him. He's also sort of loud. That's where I get the loudness from. So I feel like just like that constant like let's just be positive because there's no point in being negative. Like
Sure.
you might as well just have a good attitude with everything.
Every team needs that positivity. Good for you.
Thank you.
Tell us about this team. There's a lot of familiar faces back from
Mhm.
last year, roughly 9 players back, and a lot of the who's who from that 2023 season. The team does have a brand new starting goalie.
Mhm.
You look at the non-conference schedule, again, a tough non-conference slate. How's it all coming together?
Very surprisingly very good. We recently went to Hilton Head, and I feel like that was a great bonding experience because we have a lot of like new incoming girls. We have some hockey girls that's never played before, and they've just picked it up like that, and it's very very positive on our team. Like during practices, we're always just hyping each other up, and I think it's starting to show on the field. So it's been going well.
You mentioned that spring break trip down to South Carolina. Got the opportunity to take on the Savannah College of Art and Design,
Mhm.
a top who's who in the NAIA. How was that trip? What did you guys do? How was the temperature?
Well, it was fantastic. Well, it was in the I would say like 65, 70s on the hottest day, and I was in the ocean boogie boarding. I was in
Ooh.
those waves. It was freezing, but it was super fun. We had a few days of practice when we played SCAD. Obviously, they're an amazing team. They
Mm-hmm.
they beat us by a lot, but best we played together as a team ever. Like we not once after every goal they scored, we were hustling our butts back, being aggressive, going for those ground balls, going for those interceptions, and it was a good game. Like, they put up a fight, we put up a fight, and at the end of the day, we lost, but we played really well as a team.
Well, thank you to the women's lacrosse team for bringing that nice weather back here for at least a couple of days.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, close to 70 even here on
Mhm.
campus. But you talk about that experience, and I got to believe it only grew you guys
Right.
closer.
Totally. It's just something, I mean, we're living together in condos and everything. We're cooking, we're waking up, we're watching TV together, we're watching movies, we're going out, walking around, going to the shops. It's just fun because obviously we spend 2 hours every day together practicing. But then when you have the outside setting of like actually getting to hang out, going to dinner with the team, it's just really special, and you actually like get to know the girls individually instead of just like your teammates.
Have you ever been down there before?
Last year we went to Hilton
Okay.
Head, but that was the other time.
Outside of Hilton Head, is there one place you would love to go to someday and say, boy, I wish we could go here and play a game, or just go there to visit?
Ooh,
All-time destination?
I'd say Colorado. I love the
Colorado.
mountains. I'm a hiker, so just being surrounded by the mountains, I feel like that'd be pretty good. And that mountain air. I feel like
Summertime, though?
summertime.
I was
Yes.
going to say, not right now with having a
I'm-
blizzard.
No, I'm not a snow person at all. So definitely not winter.
Now, among those back from last season, besides yourself, obviously you have Caitlin Cardinello, who came through with that program record 11-goal performance against Augustana. You bring back the likes of Ellie Fuchs and so on and so forth. What's it like to play alongside those attack-minded athletes?
They push me. I mean, they're both snipers. Like Ellie, she can run the whole field. She can play anywhere. Caitlin, she can shoot through like 10 girls, get a goal off of them. So I'd say I'm more of a defensive player sometimes, or when I'm midi, I like to I'm not a big shooter. Obviously, I don't score that much, but they push me to take shots on goal, even if there's a couple girls, and I love watching them score because they're good.
But the beauty for you is teams can't forget about you because you have the
Right.
ability to score. And
Yeah.
you have already this season. You've done it 3 times in your career on top of getting the assist as you did a season ago. For you, though, at this point in the season, how do you feel personally your season has started?
It started off a little bit rough the very first game. I think it was just nerves. And then once I got that under the belt, it's been going well. I've been sort of shooting across all the different positions, attack, midi, and defense, so it's a little bit hard for me sometimes to adjust each game, but once I adjust, it's good.
So what goals have you set maybe for yourself for the team this spring?
Specifically for me, I want to get a lot of interceptions with my stick. I've been working on that during practice. Interceptions, that creates turnovers, get it across the field. And I feel like me and a lot of the girls on defense have been doing that during practice, and it's starting to show in games.
And for the Falcons, upcoming, they will play at Lake Forest on Wednesday, back at Fitting Field this Saturday at 1 o'clock versus the Elmhurst University Blue Jays. Conference play starts with a bang against the conference favorites, Aurora, coming up on the 6th of April. Falcons predicted to finish in second place. Let's wrap up this first segment by getting to know Ava a little bit better. So let's start off with, and we talked about sweets, but how about food? What's your favorite food?
I'm going to have to go with steak tacos.
Steak tacos.
I'm a fiend for some good steak tacos. I could eat them every single day for the rest of my life.
There you go. How about favorite holiday?
Oh, either Halloween or Christmas. I love the fall vibes of Halloween. Probably Christmas. I'll say Christmas.
Do you have a favorite or an all-time Halloween costume?
Oh gosh, I don't think so. I haven't been. Maybe when I was younger. I don't think so.
The real question is, do you still go trick-or-treating?
No.
Ooh.
But
You're giving that up.
I would go trick or treating in high school for a long time.
You need to start something on campus.
I
like
know.
go around the dorms,
If we had
trick-or-treat.
dorms, I would be going. I would be carrying my pillowcase and getting candy, 100%.
Favorite movie and or TV show?
Oh, favorite movie, The Notebook, all the way.
Notebook.
It's just so basic. But the first time I watched that, oh my gosh, I was sobbing. But I also do love horror movies. Probably the Conjuring series.
You have both ends of the spectrum then.
Yeah, it's very
Good for you.
bipolar, but I love them. And then favorite show, I'm probably going to have to go with The Office. It's just a classic. It cracks
Can't
me
go
up.
wrong.
It's so funny.
Doesn't matter how many times you see the episodes.
I can
Yes.
I could just keep watching it. It's so good.
If you could have one superpower, what superpower would you choose?
Ooh, probably to fly. Just travel over, zoom over buildings. It'd be so cool.
You're number 22 in lacrosse. Any significance to that number?
It's an even number. As long as it's an even number, that's fine. I hate odd numbers for some reason, so I was like, it needs to be at least even. 22, perfect.
Do you have a lucky number?
24, just my birthday. It's
You
a good
have.
number.
You mentioned it a little bit, but how about from a pregame routine? How do you get ready for a game?
So usually we head to the locker room 2 hours before our game. I get there a little bit earlier. I usually have some snacks, drink some water, Gatorade. I talk to myself, just hype myself up. I
What do you
roll
tell
out.
yourself?
I tell myself at the end of the day, all I can do is give 110%. A game's a game. Like, again, I never know if it's going to be my last game. If knock on wood, if I get an injury or something, so I might as well give it my all. And then I'm like, we're all here for the same reason. So, and we're all going to be giving 110%. So at the end of the day, it should show on the field.
You mentioned you hate odd numbers. Are you superstitious outside of the odd number thing?
Actually, sort of. During my games, I didn't even realize this until one of my teammates mentioned it. During halftime, I always retie my shoelaces and tighten them, and I tie them. I do triple knots, which is ironic because I don't like.
Yeah.
It's triple knots,
3.
and then every time I go to either the defensive end or if I'm going to take the draw, I tighten my lacrosse gloves.
Do you have a hobby or do you collect anything?
Hobbies. I really love. Well, I love hammocking.
Okay.
And I love painting. I've been really I did a lot of art when I was in high school, so I've been on my little painting roll
Are
recently.
you able to do both with nature?
Yeah.
Go out there and, sit outside.
Well, I get a
and
little
paint?
distracted if I
Okay.
go outside and paint, but
Okay.
I have tried that before. But then sometimes the bugs are like flying in on the paint. I'm like, oh, maybe not.
Finally, and you mentioned this too earlier, but your major and what do you hope to do with it one day?
Yeah, so I'm communication sciences and disorders. So after I graduate, I want to go and be a speech pathologist. So I have to get my master's first for that. But I plan on working in a hospital for a little, and I want to work in the emergency care area, and then I'll eventually move to a school later on and work with kids. But my grandpa has dementia, so he's been seeing a speech language pathologist. So that's what actually encouraged me to switch my major and go on to that, and I absolutely love it. Like, it's just so interesting to me, and I love how we can work from literally newborns to the end of life. I think it's
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, Ava, it was great to talk with you. All the
Thanks
best
for
here
having
this
me.
spring. Ava Karloff from the women's lacrosse team. You can see them in person coming up on Saturday. Again, Elmhurst University in town at 1 o'clock. Start with the opening draw out at Fitting Field. When we continue here with Falcon Focus, presented by Orthopedic Hospital of Wisconsin, our focus will shift to men's lacrosse. We'll be joined by both Gio Nolatarski along with Zach Wilder. That and more as we continue with Falcon Focus.
I can't imagine being any other profession than an orthopedic surgeon. We have the privilege and we have the responsibility to make people better. We've been fortunate enough to take care of professional athletes. We've also been fortunate enough to take care of our neighbors and friends who trust us to give them back their life.
One of the main reasons I came here was because this is the way healthcare is meant to be delivered. Being devoted exclusively to orthopedic care means that we can focus on delivering specialized care for every patient. And that includes not only the surgeons and the physicians, but also anesthesia, controlling pain, the nurses, and the scrub techs, and everyone in the recovery is dedicated to treating conditions that are very similar for people.
Our tagline is an uncommon focus on you. We think the focus on the patient experience is what sets us apart. Before we make any process or clinical decision at the hospital, we start with the same question. Is this what's best for the patient? If we can't answer yes, we move on to the next idea. Our nurses provide care for no more than 3 patients per shift, whereas other facilities, they might provide care for 7 or even 8 patients per shift. We think this personalized care is what sets us apart from others.
I think that dedication to our patients is our number one focus. And you can technically do a good operation, but if you're not centered on the patient, they're not necessarily going to have a great outcome.
The Orthopedic Hospital of Wisconsin is physician-owned. It's physician-led. We have the responsibility to make the right decision for every patient. We also have the freedom to make the right decision for every patient.
Physicians and staff collaborate through regular meetings, weekly and monthly, and with a relatively small team, we're able to change the way we do things if we need to tweak something to make it perfect.
The facility specifically was designed so that quality could be measured and maintained and sustained. When you have 7,000 patients a year receive their surgery here, it's important that patient number 1 and patient number 7,000 receive the same care.
We place an extremely high priority on the patient experience here. We send surveys to each and every person that receives care at our hospital. Those survey results come back directly to me. I review them and share them with our senior leadership, as well as the staff and the physicians that provide the care to those patients.
There's almost 5,000 hospitals in the country that are measured. The Orthopedic Hospital of Wisconsin measures number 1, not number 2, not number 3, not runner-up, number 1 in patient satisfaction in the state of Wisconsin for the last 10 years running.
Welcome back to Falcon Focus, episode number 15 here in season number 5, an all-lacrosse edition of Falcon Focus presented by Orthopedic Hospital of Wisconsin. A special thanks to Ava Karloff for joining us in the first segment talking women's lacrosse. Our focus now on men's lacrosse, and being joined by a couple of juniors, a couple of captains among the 4 on this current men's lacrosse roster, being joined by defender Zach Wilder along with midfielder Gio Nolatarski. Gio, let's start with you, and you look at the way this season has started, and you guys at one point off to a 4-0 start for the first time in program history. When you look at the early results, what was the key to the success? What did you learn about the team in those first few games?
Well, obviously it's a new team. We have a lot of freshmen, so we're kind of still building that chemistry between each other. And a lot of these freshmen have stepped into bigger roles and playing for the first time right away as a freshman, so it's huge for them. But I think honestly, like that's what's expected. We talk about it all the time at practice, and it was just a special moment to see us just like in fluid. It was like poetry in motion almost. We were just flowing together all as one.
And Zach, from a defensive standpoint, not giving up a ton of goals, not giving up a ton of quality scoring opportunities. What's been working for the defense here in maybe this first month of the season?
I think it's our second year as the 3 of us playing together, and I think we're clicking a lot better. And we got a freshman goalie, Travis, who's really stepping it up and really taking care of the net. So I think all in all, the communication, and we're growing together, so we're getting more experience, and I think it's really working well together.
Does the defensive mindset change at all? You guys have gotten a lot of goal support, obviously, and the offense is producing quite a bit. Does that mindset change at all when you guys are playing with a 4, 5, 6, 7+ goal lead?
No, not really. I mean, it's pretty nice to never let goals in. So when the ball's on our side, we try to stop it at any time, even if we're down by, or if we're up by 20, or if we're up by 5. Like, I mean, it's the same thing. We don't want goals, so.
Gio mentioned the offense can be awfully explosive. How much fun is it playing alongside guys like Max Esposito, but also you look at a newcomer like Parker Beaudry?
It's so special. It's like watching magic happen before your eyes. Just those two clicking together. I mean, I know last year Max and I had a lot of good connections. Max is a great feeder. And then him and Parker just on the inside. I mean, it's so dangerous because those two can take care of the inside, and then we have stretch shooters on the outside. So defenses don't really know where to cover us because we can attack from inside the net and then from the outside.
Let's talk about that. How have you seen teams approach you guys? Because, again, it's like pick your poison. Okay, if you look and focus on this side, watch out for this side. So it's how teams maybe trying to approach the Falcons.
I feel like they just try to be a lot more aggressive and then play out on us, but then that's where like our speed comes into an advantage because we're not like pretty much like a bigger type of team. Like we're all like skill and like fast play type of players. So we just like I think they just try to play so much more aggressive, and then we just run by them and they don't really know what to do. And then they play in the zone, and then we have stretch shooters again where we're shooting from 15+ yards, and we can just trust each other that that's still going to even work against them.
For both of you guys, and Zach, I'll start with you. How do you feel like personally your season has started?
I think it's going well. I mean, we still got a lot of season left to go, so I mean, we're still learning, we're still working, like conference play, like we're just preparing pretty much right now. So trying to get out the kinks and then move on to conference play and try to win a conference championship. So,
Gio, you pleased with where you're at this point in the season?
Individually or as a team?
Sure.
Individually,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's always room to grow. I'm never going to be – I'm my worst critic. I'm my hardest critic, so I'm never going to be satisfied with myself. I mean, obviously I've played a couple great games, but there's times where, I'm just in my own head trying to work together, but it's good as a team overall. I'm so proud of where we're at, and I can tell everyone's working and buying in 100%, so that's where we need to be the whole season.
Again, for both of you guys, have your roles changed a great deal from last year to this?
yeah, I definitely think leadership has kind of changed a little bit. Like now that we're upperclassmen technically, and we lost upperclassmen last year, so like now it's like we're the next guys up, so we kind of have to take care of the leadership and try to support our guys and everything. So that definitely is a aspect changed.
Overall, I think that what I like more is, like, I can tell a lot of the guys, like, they do look up to you, and you notice that a lot more when you have the roles like a captain and an upperclassman. They come to you more for questions, not just on the field, but outside of the questions about classroom, just about talking to you as a friend, just something like that. And I can tell they actually just looking up to you, and that's what I think I see so much more as a captain versus when you were just a normal player.
Yeah, let me ask you about that. Being captain, what does that responsibility mean to you guys?
Honestly, for me, I think there's two different lines of captain. Like one's like giving speeches and stuff, and then the other is kind of leading by example. And I try to like lead by example and like try to like help the guys grow and like be supportive to each other and just be good guys all around. So I don't really focus on many speeches, but
Yeah, I agree with Zach. I think we have so many different roles as captains where there's people that can, like, Max is the big speech guy. Max will give every speech possible in the world before anything, get everyone hyped. I'm more of like the guy that is going to make sure everyone's buying in 100%, giving 100% effort. And if I have to be the guy that's going to let you know, like, hey, you're not giving that effort, like, we need to give it more, that's where I'll step in. But, like, Zach and I do a good job of that. Matt's a great vocal leader as well. I think we all are great vocal leaders, and that's what helps us click as one good captain unit.
Zach, you mentioned this. I want to touch more on the fact that you guys have a brand new goalie and freshman, Travis Marquardt. What have you seen from him in these first few weeks, and how's the communication been between him and the defense?
I've definitely seen some growth. Like, I mean, we've been able to, each game we've been able to up the game, and like, luckily our offense has been taking care of it, so we've been able to work on more specific things instead of like worried about getting shot on every time. So I think we're just up from here, and we're just gonna keep working. I think he's doing a really good job.
And Gio, you mentioned it too, that when you look at this roster, a lot of new faces, also a number of returnees from last year's 11-win squad. How have the new guys been fitting in? How's the team chemistry developing?
Honestly, a lot quicker than I had imagined. I thought the past 2 years, whenever we like get into our scrimmages, our chemistry isn't like really there. But I felt like early this year in the season, even in practices, we were just kind of clicking a lot faster than I've ever seen before. And we're still like working on that now. And I think that when we hit our full potential, which we're not even at yet, it's just going to be a scary thing to see.
Mentioned you guys have been here now at least a couple of years and counting. How did you guys end up at Concordia? Why Concordia?
I mean, lacrosse definitely played a big part into it, like getting recruited and stuff. And the style of the campus was pretty nice. And I'm from Michigan, so it's really not that far from me. It's something different, but nothing too different.
Sure.
And so those are pretty much my three biggest. And also my program was pretty great. So
what is that?
Exercise physiology.
Okay.
Honestly, I wanted to just get away from home. I didn't travel as much. And I thought that getting away from where like my hometown was just going to benefit me more, just to see more. And with me playing two sports, I have obviously two head coaches, Coach Fahey and Coach Eder, and those two really made me want to come here more, because when getting recruited, you can see when coaches actually want you versus when they just want you as a number roster spot. And those two called me constantly, checking up on me, texting me, and that was just, it made me feel like this is where I want to be and like where I could call home and where I'm going to be the most comfortable. And I was able to play football and lacrosse, so that was a bonus.
I was going to say, Gio, we had you on the show before, refresh our memory, and we talked about that. Was that always the hope or the plan, that maybe try to play both sports?
Yeah, I always wanted to play both, but a lot of schools, when you get recruited, will tell you it's not possible, it's going to be really stressful. But the way it works here at Concordia is probably the best way it's ever been ran, like that I've seen, is during lacrosse season, I'm only a lacrosse player. I go to occasional like football meetings when it's necessary, but during football season, I'm a football player. I go to lacrosse meetings when it's necessary, and it's very split even. It's like people are like, oh, you're a two-sport athlete, but I don't think I'm a one-sport athlete in one season, and that's really how it is.
So right now you don't have to worry about this upcoming spring football season?
Nope, I do nothing with the spring football season right now. I just go in the summer. I'll be here all summer with Coach Siekman working out, but that's about it. I don't do any of the spring ball stuff.
Now, Zach, in high school, you played lacrosse, football, on the swim team. When did you know that, hey, I want to try to play lacrosse at the collegiate level?
Probably my freshman year of high school. I was like playing some travel ball, and I really enjoyed it. And football was just kind of hard to find like my solid position. And then honestly, like lacrosse, like with the guys, I think it's just like two different sports have two different like chemistries, and I just had a lot more fun with lacrosse and the speed and intensity of the game.
So when did you first start playing the sport of lacrosse? How did you get involved?
Through my cousins. I'm the youngest out of 8 cousins, and they all played lacrosse before me. So I just stick in my hand pretty early, around like 3rd grade, and I started playing competitively in 4th grade.
So 8 cousins.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing a lot of great competition between the cousins.
Yeah.
Jeez. For the lacrosse team, you guys got the opportunity to travel out each for a couple of matchups over spring break. How was the trip?
It was a great trip. I mean, it went fast. I mean, it was very fast. It was like we were back here, but it was nice to see Buffalo. Niagara Falls was pretty cool, and the competition was great. Nice to see some East Coast lacrosse, so it was a lot of fun.
I would say I couldn't agree more with the East Coast lacrosse. I think that the gameplay is just a lot faster, and it was great for us to see as a Midwest team. I mean, some of us, like me, Max, and Hans, we're from the East Coast, so we played in high school, but at the collegiate level, it's just so much faster. And overall, as a trip, it was great. I'm from Pennsylvania, and Niagara Falls is only 4 hours away, but I've never seen it, so I got to see a lot of cool things, and it's just great for team bonding. It makes us always closer after spring break.
Was the weather good?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
it
one
was-
day it rained for the Alfred game, but that was really it.
So if you have to point at one thing, maybe it's Niagara Falls, but what was your favorite part of the trip?
Probably touring around Buffalo. I mean, I've
Okay.
never really been to many big cities, and just to walk around and see what it's like was pretty cool for me.
Yeah, I think just being with the team always for those amount of days is just you see each other every day in the locker room, but being stuck together at a hotel and being able to walk around the city of Buffalo together is it's really cool. And everyone's looking at you just wondering why there's a big group of people, but it was just so much fun to be together.
Obviously, we hope that the best is yet to come here this season and beyond. But when you look at your time so far with the Falcons, is there a game or two, is there a trip or two that stands out among the rest? And you so far say, hey, that's the highlight of my time so far with Concordia?
Out of all the time in Concordia, one of my favorite games was last year's against Benedictine. The triple overtime? The triple overtime winner. That was a special thing just for us because obviously freshman year they had beat us with 9 seconds left to take us out of the NAC semis, and that was just a good revenge game for us, I feel and it was just a very special game to be a part of.
I can't really disagree with that. That game was a lot of fun. I still think about that game a lot, so that was definitely my highlight.
To wrap it all up for both of you guys, and obviously looking at the road ahead, and when you look at the preseason poll in the NAC, it appears it's going to be coming down to Concordia and Aurora yet again, as it seems like it does almost every year. But what goals do you have for yourselves? What does this team need to do to get over that hump and win a conference championship, in your guys' opinion? So a loaded question for both.
As an individual, just to keep leading by example as best as I can, keep that positive attitude because a positive attitude is just as contagious as a negative one, and when that negative energy is around, a team will not succeed. So I think just keeping that positive energy up and just working together as a team, and then as a team goal, obviously just to get past that hump. We've made it there the past 2 years, and we just can't get over it. And this year, I think it's going to be different, and we'll see them in the championship.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just we're just building toughness, and a lot of our guys have now played for 3 years, and we got a lot more experience behind us. And I think we're just all working as hard as we can, and I think we're going to be able to do it.
Well, Zach, Gio, thanks a lot for your time. All the best to you and the men's lacrosse team here this spring.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And you can see the Falcons in action. First, they'll be at Carthage tomorrow night at 7 p.m., but then the conference opener on March 30th at MSOE at 1 p.m. Back at Fitting Field coming up for their first conference home matchup. That's April 3rd against Marion at 4 p.m. That will do it for this edition of Falcon Focus. Thanks to one and all for being on and for you for watching. We'll do it again next week, presented by Orthopedic Hospital of Wisconsin.